Hi, this is Guthrie Govan here. Today we're going to be learning another lovely Steve Vai track. This one's called Tender Surrender, and for convenience I've decided to chop it up into 4 distinct sections. Clean melody section, clean solo, dirty solo, and finally another clean melody section at the end. I've decided to demonstrate all of this without the use of a wah-wah pedal and without the bizarre crossfading between the 2 amp sounds which you hear on the original. This way hopefully the rendition's a little more usable to everyone at home. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Most of the melody for this track is played in octaves, which is perhaps a tip of the hat to Jimi Hendrix or Wes Montgomery. And the basic shapes you need are this one, which is index finger at the A string, 7th fret, and your middle finger 2 frets higher on the G string. It's worth spending a little bit of time getting your hand position right so that when you hit all 6 strings you only hear those 2. So the underside of this index finger can be muting the D string and also the 2 skinny strings. The top of your index finger can mute the low E. So as you can see, you can be reckless with this hand and only hear those 2 notes. Okay, now there's a companion octave shape on the D and B strings, which is 1 fret wider. So for this shape, you'd probably use your little finger rather than your middle finger. So that's 7th fret on the D, 10th fret on the B string. And when you're playing melodies with these octave shapes, it's normally helpful just to concentrate on one string or the other. So in this case, I'm going to focus on the lower string. So long as you lock your hand in the octave shape, you should be fine. Both the notes should come out. Okay, so the first couple of bars sound something like this. Okay, so if we slow that down, we start off with a little stab on an E minor 7 chord here. So you bar your index finger over the 7th fret, every string except the low E, and middle finger at 8th fret on the B string, and ring finger 9th fret on the D string. Then the octaves kick in. So now we have one at the 7th fret on the A string, then up 3 frets, now onto the D and B strings. So first finger is now at the 7th fret, up 2 frets, and now there's one on the G and E strings, same shape as before, and you're sliding into this position with your index finger at the 7th fret. And then to round it off, there's a little sliding motion where your index finger is going 7th, up to 9th, down to 7th, and then down again to the 5th. Okay, so that bar again. Next bar starts with that shape again, sliding up 2 frets, and now there's a little chordal fill, based, I suppose, around an E minor shaped chord there. Very Hendrix. So what you do here is you pick the E string at 5th fret, quickly hammer on at the 7th, pull off again. Now pick the B string and the D string, and now a quick hammer and pull off, 5, 7, 5 on the G string, and finally a 5 hammering onto the 7 on the D string, landing on this note, the D, 5th fret on the A string. Okay, next couple of bars. So what we're doing there, kind of breaking the octave shape up, so you play the lower note first and then the higher one. You might find it helpful to use your swearing finger. So that's 7th fret, pick just the B string, slide up, and now pluck the B string, slide the whole thing down 2 frets, and another 2 frets. And now the same idea of splitting the octave up, starting with 5th fret on the D, now pluck the B string, slide up to there. So that whole bar again, and rounding it off with 5th fret on the A string, and again a broken octave shape, so it's the A string, then the G string, slide all the way up to there, 10th and 12th frets, and and greet the new bar with this octave shape here back at the 7th fret A string. Alright, and another Hendrixian chord fill here. So we're basically fretting that shape, and at some point in the future we'll be turning it into the Doobie Brothers minor 7th chord shape. So what we're doing here is pick the B string at the 8th fret, and now the E string, let the bar do all the work. Now the G string and the D string, so B, E, G, D, and now pluck all three of those strings together, the D, G and B strings. Hammer on that chord shape there, as discussed earlier. And finally, 7th on the D, 10th on the A, 7th on the D again. So that whole fill. And land on a stab on this chord, which is kind of a minor 11th shape. You're just barring here on the middle 4 strings and adding your middle finger on the B string at the 8th fret. Okay, moving on from there, we have a variation on the same idea. Nearly the same as the figure we had at the start, but this time that highest octave shape is 2 frets higher. Otherwise, this is all stuff we've already done. So we move on to another fill. This is quite a Vyism whenever he's using a clean sound. It will go down and pick really near the bridge, so you get this thinner kind of tone. So what he's doing here is raking the 3 unwound strings downwards, starting at the 2nd fret on the G string, letting the other 2 ring out as open strings. And now you slide up to the 4th, down again, and now start pulling off between the open G string and the 2nd fret. And then speed the trill up at the end, hopefully landing on that note on beat 1 of the next bar. So that whole bar would be 3 and 4 and... And now to round that phrase off. Now to simplify that, basically we've got this shape here, 9th fret, down 2 frets, down 2 more frets, slide back up to the last shape, and then on the A and G strings, this one here at the 5th fret, slide up 4, and finally you play that shape again and try and bend both of the notes a semitone sharp, and then down again. I wouldn't worry too much about the accuracy of this, because at the kind of speeds we're playing it at, it's more of an inflection rather than a separate melody. So that whole chunk again. And a very Hendrixy fill here. So what we're doing here is barring this shape, which is stacked 4th intervals, it's 9th fret on the G string, and then barring the 10th fret on the top 2. Slide it up 2 frets, and down again. Now throw in one of these, it's a 1st finger bar on the 2 middle strings, 7th fret. Now back to this shape again, but not bothering with the E string this time, just the G and the B. Slide up 1 fret and back again really quickly. And round off with that bar, 7th fret, D, G and B strings. And finally, this old favourite, an E power chord. So